Hello, I'm reporter Nick Raven.
And I'm reporter Greta Anderson-Johns. This is a special edition of the 6035.
Out of the Box is the feature we wrote for 6035 News magazine about Cedric Martin, a convicted felon who found art as a form of expression and escape while in prison. Through a work release program, Martin was able to leave prison with the help of artist advocates Karen Hamer, Jana Busanic, and Chris Alvarez.
We were able to get Cedric in the studio today to follow up with him about how he's doing, what his life's been like lately, and more. Cedric, welcome to the 6035.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, what's been up? How's your life been?
Yeah.
It's been strange. It's been tumultuous. And objectively, it's pretty fascinating. Like, just all the different things that I don't know and the things that I thought I know that I found out I didn't. Yeah, it's just been a thing. It's rich and textured at this point right now.
Right. And you've had a lot of exposure to the outside world and how much that's changed in the 22 years.
Oh, man.
Yeah, like you just pointed to the camera over here, and it's like, that's a camera.
Yeah.
It's so small, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, technology is incredible. In the meeting I was in right before I came here, people were telling me, well, I put you on the Google Doc and did.
What does that mean?
Do I know what that is? And am I actually being held to account for not having found it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's strange, and some things I'm gaining some facility with. To date, my favorite thing is still the fact that I can just play chess with everybody around the world. That's when I get into a rough spot. That's usually what I do is I just dial up chess.com and
you just go from there.
Yeah.
Do you dial up like 10 or so games at a time, and you just like?
I play one game at a time, and I put everything I have into it, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Like because. We've talked before. Like, I'm this kind of cerebral thing.
Yeah.
And so
you got a brain going on.
And so in the penitentiary, I was always looking for a good chess game, and then they were not easily found. And when Karen Hamer began to let me play chess over the telephone, like she was on chess.com, so I had a presence on there before I got out, and like all of the logistics of that, like, oh, Cedric, I moved the wrong piece. And
so you would tell her what moves to make.
And so I would have a board. Like, we weren't allowed to have chess boards, but I would have a homemade board, a piece of cardboard that I colored, and I made my pieces out of toilet paper. And I colored them with colored pencil. Just very low budget, like everything else, fitting right in the scene. And I would sit on my toilet, and I would have the phone for, my 30 minutes. And, all right, Echo 4. Did you say Delta 4? No, I said Echo 4. Well, I moved Delta 4, right?
Karen, come on.
And other times, when I won, it was a great, I don't know, it was a lovely experience all the way around. And then when I came out, and I got to be on chess.com myself, and I was like, wow. Like, I don't know. I'm not the consummate nerd, so I'm just, that's my definite kind of comfort place right now.
Yeah.
You just embrace everything technology right now. There's just so much. What's been kind of the hardest thing to adjust to besides Google Docs?
All right, so I still don't know what a Google Doc is. It is the fact that entire conversations and kind of ethos can change without me even knowing, right? And then they'll be like, oh, well, you weren't part of the feed in this. And I'm like, no. And then where I thought we left a thing, whatever the thing might be, it shifted so far over so that when I dial back in, they're like, oh, yeah, no, we're not doing this location anymore. We're over here. And I'm like, but I'm at the other location. Like, and where are you guys?
So it's like that multi-threaded conversations, or you're like holding across different.
Something happened in chat and you weren't looking in chat.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so, like, Well, I put it in an email, I put it in a text, and then I just recently learned how to search. So I'll put their name in, and it won't come up the way I think it should.
Right.
But then when I show them, I just give people my phone, like, here, show me. And they're like, no, it's right here. I'm like, oh, my God. Like, I'm never going to understand this stuff. So it's very difficult. Happy I got an iPhone. I found out that they are notoriously resistant to, like, viruses and like they watch out for you, right? And so like some of the guys that I'm around, they'll be downloading like, oh, we can watch any movie in the world, or I can download this. What is it? An emulator for a video game thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then my MacBook and my iPhone are like, nah, no. You can't do that.
You can't be side-loading these apps and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still seem pretty comfortable speaking with people one-on-one, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
when we went to First Friday in January, you were like holding a crowd. Has that always felt comfortable for you coming out of prison, just speaking with people?
That's one of the commonalities.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been speaking to people in every different social strata, right? And the people who have some similarity of a background with me, one of the things that we connect on is the fact that prison either teaches you to be an excellent communicator or it just eats you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Because the consequences are so high. And so, you know, people are over the top respectful, and they are aware of what they say and how that might be taken. And if they choose to, you know, insult you, then there's no doubt. Like, they meant
no
to
filter.
say what they said. Like, it's not an accidental anything. So the fact that some of the skills that I gained in prison, especially along the lines of communication and you know, socializing, even when I don't necessarily feel super comfortable, that's really comforting. So that technology might astound me and just, I'll never get it. And my bike might lose its front tire or whatever is happening, right? But if I'm in a conversation with the person, then that's familiar territory. That's ground that all right. So I know this part. Excuse me. I'm also a bull in the china shop.
It can get pretty tight in here. Absolutely. Have you gotten to play any other games in that while you've been out too?
I've tried to play other games. Like, I really enjoy Pinochle. And I just downloaded a little thing, and I've been playing Pinochle a little bit. I love Scrabble. Like, Scrabble in my mind is up there with chess, just with the variables. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
And I downloaded a Scrabble thing, but it's like every 2 words it wants to show you an ad or something. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't play that
The
anymore.
free stuff. Yeah. How has it been emotionally coming out of, because November you were like just getting out. When we were talking to you in December and January, you're still, I don't want to say like thawing out, but like you're really coming out. How has it been in just even the months since we've chatted with you?
The emotions have ran the whole gamut. I mean, not very long ago, I just started, like, if I wasn't in the sober living house, my brother might have thought I was drunk, because I just started texting him, like, bro, I love you, like, my little bro, like, and so, you know, he immediately called me, like, what's going on? And I'm all crying, like, it's just hitting me, and it, like, so those moments have come. There's been anger and frustration at some of the things, and then there's been the realization that, you know, my mom's not here to see this, right?
Right.
And I have to hope that she can. And people are really comfortable saying, "Oh yeah, she's up there," and I'm like, I don't know if she's up there or not. Like, I don't know that. So there's that. There's been, usually when I'm on my e-bike, and I'm just zipping down a hill or something, moments where I'm like, wow, I'm free. Like I'm actually out of that place. I'm free. So yeah, the emotional, just entire situation it's been, again, rich and textured,
Right.
just all over the place. And fortunately, I have a few people that I can, be very, very honest with. I have places I can go, like the studio,
Yeah.
concrete couch, to suit different needs. Like sometimes if I just need to be physical on concrete couch, they always got big rocks to move or break or whatever the case may be. And if I need, that quiet, contemplative space, and that, Yana and Chris's studios, I can absolutely get that there.
Has your art changed at all? Because I know when you were in prison, sometimes and in solitary, it would reflect that experience of like darkness and being confined. Has it opened up more? Is it changing?
I haven't created art really since I've been out.
Okay.
And that's concerning for me. It's a thing that I'm striving to find the place, the time, the facility to do, because I am so just concerned with the day to day. Like, I need to pay rent.
Right.
I need to show up here. I need to be accountable for this.
You're very busy.
And yeah, and so it feels almost irresponsible or greedy if and when I try to take time to do my art. And then I'm in discussion with people who are like, yeah, no, you absolutely need to do that. So to answer your question, I haven't created any art, not really, since I've been out.
Have you wanted to? Is it more about finding the space?
Desperately.
Yeah.
I said that chess is my go-to. Art is traditionally my other go-to.
Yeah.
In the sober living house, there are responsibilities that one has while you're there. And it's communal, kind of socially oriented place where you're not supposed to be able to seclude yourself. And that's what I was doing my art.
Yeah.
That's the space I was in doing my art. So it can come across as kind of off-putting or dismissive if I just put my headphones on and I'm sitting there drawing, and then I can tell the vibes are changing and people are thinking, oh yeah, he doesn't really like me or whatever. So I'll take my headphones off and engage and be present when I'm working, to being able to have I can communicate usually fairly well, but to be able to communicate to the people that's not a negative statement about them at all. Like, it's not anything to do with them. It's just like if I was doing Tai Chi or Qigong, it would be very much the same. Like, I'd just be in the corner doing my thing, and that's what my art would be.
You haven't been able to work on art so much, but one thing that you did like to do, or as you said, it was like a coping mechanism, was just zone in on a task and that. So have you been able to then like kind of open up and be like, all right, let me be more mindful of what's going on. Let me recognize what the scene is and then try to engage it?
Of a necessity, I've had to do that.
Yeah.
So it's not like something like, oh, I just want my mind to be expansive. It's like, no, I'm actually on an e-bike going like 30 miles an hour, and I need to like be aware of all the things and not get hit by this truck, right?
Yeah.
And
seeing you on Cascade, headed back over to the studio. Yeah. We ran into him over there, and it's like, and you're just in the turning lane. Like, you have to dominate that lane.
Yeah. Oh, so
Oh boy.
Left turns on an e-bike, were for a long time scary. And Yana Bucinich, when I rode with her, scared the living crap out of me, because she will absolutely dominate the lane. And I'm like, so what I was doing is I would go up on the sidewalk, I'd wait for the thing, and then I'd go over, and then I'd get back on the road, right? And so the day when you saw me was, what I have to do to be comfortable is I look, like there's got to be no cars for a long ass way, and then I'll signal, and then I'll go over to the left lane, and then I'll just stay in the middle of it and just put my basically horse blinders on, right? So, like, yes, the law, I think, says I can be here, and I'm going to take this left turn and hopefully not die when I'm doing it, right?
Yeah.
So, but many other times you'll see me absolutely doing the, like, I'm on the sidewalk, I'm, going across, waiting for the other light.
Yep.
And then so my left turn usually takes a really long time.
You dominate. Like, how often do you use the actual bike lanes over there? Because Cascade, they do have them.
So I don't mind being in the bike lane.
Yeah.
But the bike lane oftentimes disappears without warning.
Yes.
Right.
Especially downtown.
And like, what do you do then? Right. Sometimes there's a nice little sign on the ground that'll say, get off and walk right here. Other times it's just gone.
Yep.
And you're like, all right, so what do I do? And I've definitely been honked at.
Oh, gosh.
Definitely, really like come like inches from being like creamed.
Isn't it great when you get like a van just like right here coming past you as you're riding?
So on 8th Street.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So right at that intersection where you have the Midland Trail going this way, and then you take that little turn. I got to go on 8th Street to go back to my house. And so between Cimarron and like a couple blocks, there's no bike lane right there. Right. And so after riding with Yana a couple times, I was like, all right, so, I'm allowed to be in this lane. And the drivers definitely did not agree. Like,
no,
because before that, I had gone up on the sidewalk and I would just drive up until I see the start of the bike lane, and then I'll go off the sidewalk onto the bike lane, right?
Right.
And like coming off Cimarron onto 8th Street, those cars are taking their left turn fast as hell, right? And they're merging, and there's like zero room, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Like, this is it. So it's not, it's definitely an adventure.
What has been your impression of the city and how much it's changed since you last saw it?
I love my city, and I can see a lot of changes, like physical changes. What we used to call the foothills, they filled them in. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys remember that, but they look like big cracks right there by where I'm talking about, Cimarron and 8th Street, and going over. Mm-hmm. And they put houses on them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Gold Hill Mesa and stuff like that up on the hill.
And I'm thinking, like, those cracks were like God's sign, like, don't build here. Right? There were, they definitely built there, but there's there were some geological processes that made those cracks, and I don't know that they're done doing their thing. And I've seen on Shook's Run, there was a part that I really liked where there was an overpass, and there was like a tunnel that kind of went down. And so the whole tunnel is gone. The overpass is gone. All of it is gone. And they had to move like 100 tons of earth probably to do that, right?
Right.
And there's a bridge going off this way and a bridge going off that way. And because I remember asking Yana about that particular spot, and she sent me pictures, and I kept thinking, like, this is not the freaking part that I'm thinking of. And so now when, I'm riding my bike and just kind of exploring, I'm like, wow, they changed a lot. One of my favorite cafes is just closed and boarded up. It was the Cafe La Rue, and it was right down the street from my mom's building. It's closed. There's a lot of homeless people. I feel like I see a lot of people who are either or both mentally disturbed or highly intoxicated.
Yeah.
And it's noticeable. And that concerns me. I feel a responsibility to do something. I know who am I? Like, what can I do? But it feels like a thing that does need to be addressed, and I would be interested in seeing, it addressed in a humane and helpful way, as opposed to just kind of, taking a broom and sweeping all the problem folks.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, it's changed quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. And how often do you get to just go out and just talk to people in the public and that? Because you have a really busy schedule. You've got places you got to be. You got to, you got to be here at this time, meetings to go back to, stuff like that. But do you just go out and just chat with people?
I do.
Yeah? How's that go?
That, like I said, those are my comfort kind of spaces, right? Mm-hmm. I believe I've mentioned it before, but I continually run into like amazing, awesome people, just like everywhere, and so I just go with it, So
Yeah.
I'm almost daily finding myself engaged in a really, really good, deep, thoughtful conversation with some random stranger, and I'll never see or talk to them again. We don't like exchange information or anything like that. So that part gives me hope, and it reminds me that my city is incredible, it is beautiful, and it is full of really, really good people at all the different social levels and economic levels. So, yeah.
Have you noticed how much brighter Walmarts have gotten in the past 20 years?
I've noticed that Walmart is, so I remember when they first built the Walmart, right?
Like 8th Street or
The one by the Citadel.
the Platte?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like the big thing. And I also remember people stealing from the Walmart, right? And I remember some of the people who I was doing drugs with, they would go in and they would go to the automotive section and find some little thing with the really high price and take it from the Platte to the 8th Street and get money for it.
No.
And then they would go to the 8th Street one and steal and bring it to the Platte one, right? And so when I go into Walmart now, like there's this crazy self-checkout thing. There's like,
Yep.
and they're like, the people in there are also, because everybody goes to Walmart. So it's like a cross section of, what the city, it's almost like the pulse of the city is Walmart. Like you can get a pulse for what's going on in the city. So I wouldn't say I notice how bright they are. It feels a lot, it feels a lot smaller than I remember. And I definitely believe that they've changed the arrangement. Like, because in my mind, I have like a whole different idea. And I remember I used to go to the electronics section and play video games and test the sound systems, right? Yeah. And I'll turn the bass all the way up, and I'd be like, kind of a problem.
You'd be that guy.
kind of a problem. And now it's all so different. Like, it's strange. It's almost like, it is actually like time traveling.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so I just got, transported to the future. Like, this is the future, and this is what's happening at Walmart now. Almost. Have you ever seen Demolition Man?
Yeah.
It's similar. You've never seen it, you should see it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They put them in cryogenics, and then they thaw them out after they've been, because they were prisoners, and after they've been, fed this correcting regimen. Yeah. Then they let them out, and they're way in the future. And
it's like the distant future of like 2032.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Taco Bell is like a fine dining establishment.
It's the only one that survived the franchise.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. They don't have toilet paper. They have 3 seashells.
And he's like,
yeah.
What the hell do I do with the seashell?
Yeah. So it's like emerging, and Taco Bell is everywhere.
It is. It is absolutely like that. Like it is absolutely like that.
Greta, do you want to ask a final question here?
You said some things have angered or frustrated you. I'm curious what those are, if you could share.
I don't know that I'm at liberty to divulge them all, but it just very broadly and very generally, I'll say that I'm very protective of the people who have helped me to come out, and they've chosen to walk with me, and it seems as though sometimes that's leading to difficulties in their, professional lives, just by being associated with me. And so that's, it is frustrating, it is angering, but it's also inspiring. It means that I have to succeed, and I have to vindicate the trust that's been placed in me. So, yeah.
One more short
Sure.
thing if I can.
Yeah.
I'm curious if people recognize you more now, or people have come up to you and said, "Oh, hey, you're that guy that got out of prison."
Yeah, so some people have, usually, probably just because of my personality type, it'll be like after 2 or 3 conversations when I get to mentioning, I was in prison, and they're like, "Oh, wait, I saw a thing about, wait, that's you?"
Yeah.
And so that's happened. I haven't had too many people just out of the blue just be like,
Right.
"Hey, you're that guy."
Right.
Yeah. Can I get your
Need
autograph?
some context clues first.
Curiously, my case manager, one of the last ones I had at CSP, we stayed in contact, and we talk weekly, and he helps keep me grounded. And I keep going back to, do you remember that day, the very first time that I met him? Because, I'm sending him kites, which is what we call the little letters that we send. Like, hey, this is me. And I know everybody's probably saying this and that, but, I really have a drive. And if you could walk with me towards this parole, if you could walk with me towards changing this place where I reside. And he pulled me into the office, and we had a really deep, frank conversation. And it came to me that, he needed a success story just to kind of, just to prove that he hadn't wasted all those years, So that's really inspiring. And, when I sent him the magazine, he I say he's like Yosemite Sam, right? He's an old Marine vet, and every other word is a curse word, and he's country as the day is long, right?
Yeah.
But he was like, "Well, man, look." He's like, "Man," and I can't even say half of what he said because it was colorful, but yeah, it was really good.
Great.
Awesome. Well, Cedric, thank you so much for being able to stop in. I know we had some scheduling stuff I'm glad you were finally able to make it in here.
Thank you for still having me after all of the...
No, the pleasure is all ours. Well, whether you're listening or watching, be sure to like and subscribe and tell us what you thought of this episode. You can send us an email at podcasts@sixty35media.org or leave a comment on our YouTube channel.
6035 podcasts are listener supported. If you want us to keep doing this, please join others in the community who value our bold, independent, truth-seeking journalism. Become a member. Visit 6035membership.org. That's SIXTY35membership.org.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cedric.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
The 6035